Adventurers, welcome back. When we left off last, our cloak was covered in green slime, but worse yet, we had come face to face with a gnoll.
Got you now, Elfie. You can't win. Just save us both some trouble and surrender.
Chuckled the gnoll evilly. Friends, we had a choice to make. Should we drop the cloak and fight the gnoll, or try to fool the gnoll into thinking we're surrendering? We put it to a vote, and by a large majority, it was decided we try and fool the gnoll. Who will be the fool? How will this play out? Friends, there's only one way to find out. Without further ado, it's time now to return to Brookmere. Looking sad and frightened, you take a step towards the gnoll. Quickly, you whirl your cloak upward, flinging it directly at the gnoll's head. It wraps itself around the monster's head, neck, and shoulders in hissing folds. The gnoll drops its sword and staggers around the room, crashing into the slime-covered walls. Green slime means certain death. You do not stop to watch, but rush out of the room and down the corridor. Oh, shudders Mim. That was awful. Where did you learn to do that trick? Be quiet, Mim. You hiss angrily. Don't be such a coward. I did what had to be done. Be glad you weren't dissolved or killed by the gnoll. Mim is silent. This corridor is well lighted and seems to be heavily traveled. Fortunately, the corridor frequently twists and turns. You hear the heavy tramp of boots and duck into an empty corridor just as a patrol of armed orcs and goblins come around a corner and march past. They're marching away from you. You pick up scattered bits of conversation and conclude they're all going to a meeting. After they pass, you sneak back into the corridor and continue. Before you know it, you're in a large room where a battle has recently taken place. You see two heavily armed hobgoblins at either end of the room. You quickly hide behind a large chest. Behind you is a cloakroom, holding many tattered and rumpled goblin and hobgoblin cloaks and helmets. Deciding to use them as a disguise, you slip on a goblin cloak and put a helmet on your head. You carefully tuck your blonde hair inside the hood of your cloak. The wall on the far side of the room shows great destruction. Most of the stonework has fallen into the room. Large boulders lie scattered about the floor, and the earthen wall is braced with a crisscross of metal plates held in place with massive wooden beams. At first, you think the destruction was caused during the battle for Brookmere. Then, you realize, from the heavy armor they're wearing and the watchful expressions on the faces of the hobgoblins, that something has recently broken into the corridor from the outside. Friends, adventurers, what should we do? Should we choose to leap out from behind the chest and attack the hobgoblins, or try and sneak across the corridor on the opposite wall? Adventurers, the choice is yours. Comment below or wait for the poll later this week in stories and let me know. Just where will this adventure go?